Good morning, everybody. Today you're going to read the story that we've been getting ready to read for the last few days called What of This Goldfish Would You Wish by Edgar Carret. Make sure that you read this introduction right here. Well, actually, let me just read it to you. Here's your background. The Jewish people were expelled from their homeland in the first century CE. In the late 1800s, Jews from Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas began returning to the region. World War II and the Holocaust drastically increased this immigration. They wanted their own nation after the horrors of World War II and the killing of so many Jewish people. They thought they were persecuted or they were persecuted in other countries and they wanted their own country. Israel became an independent nation in 1948, but tensions with its Arab neighbors and its Arab citizens have led to conflict, and we know about all of the conflict in the Middle East that goes on. With the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, many Russian Jews were able to move to Israel and make their own mark on the nation's culture. In this story, Israeli writer Edgar Carret explores the hopes and dreams of people in this diverse society. Now, before you read, you need to understand that this story has some elements of a fable in it, some sort of magical elements to it as you're reading, and it can be a little bit difficult to understand. So I strongly encourage you. I'm going to be looking. I want you to take notes as you go about what questions you have. Remember, you just highlight something and take a note. And then you have, it's not a very long story, by the way. Then you have this close reading screencast. I want you to watch that video that kind of shows you how to think about the story as you're reading it. It's some students modeling a conversation of how to think about the story. And then as you go, you have a few analysis questions that you must answer. These are challenging, but I want to see that you made an effort, and we'll be talking about these. So it says highlight references to doors and doorways up to this point in the story. So you're going to go back and highlight any references to doors and doorways. And then what might a door or doorway symbolize? Why do you think the author uses this motif? Remember that motif was one of our words, literary terms that we learned the other day. So I'm just going to go back to the former lesson so you'll see things that you need to be thinking about and marking up as you read. We're looking for tough questions. Remember, these are our notice and note strategies. When an author does this, it's important. They did it on purpose. Tough questions, a memory moment, and words of the wiser. Okay? And then we also talked about what an archetype is. So I want you to look for examples of archetypes in this story. And then examples of irony, sarcasm, and motif. So if you need to come back and look at these definitions, you can. You are going to come back and fill in this chart later on. Remember our vocabulary words: poignant, wizened, beleaguered, and fluent. Okay, so let's go back to the story now. Well, actually, I went too far. So you're going to take notes over all those things. I'm not going to give you specific places to take notes, but if you see another motif besides doors and doorways, if you see an example of irony where the opposite of what was expected to happen happened, you see our vocabulary words. Anything that you think is of importance, go ahead and take notes on it. The more notes you take, the more you're going to be able to understand the story. And honestly, you may have to go back and read it again. I did have to read this story 2 or 3 times. I read it back when we first got the textbooks back during the summer, and I read it again the other day. I may have even read over the last part another time because I just wanted to make sure that I understood everything. Okay, so good readers have to reread. Don't think that some people just automatically understand everything that they read. Good readers go back and reread when they don't understand. And so that's something that you need to get used to is rereading. If you don't understand it, go back and look at it again. Of course, you can ask questions as well, and we'll be discussing it later on. Here it says highlight unusual or informal word choices and sentence structures in paragraphs 10 and 11. So you can see here is 10 and 11. What makes this seem informal, the tone that the author's using here? What makes it seem informal? And how do these choices develop Sergei's character? Write incomplete sentences here, use capital letters, use periods at the end, and do the best you can on the answers. There's really no uh, hard and fast right or wrong on this. I want you to show me that you're thinking about it. And I think those are the only, no, here's one more. Notice and note, highlight the advice that the goldfish gives Sergey in this conversation. What do the goldfish's words tell you about the relationship between him and Sergey? You may have seen, and here's another question, in paragraphs 38 through 40, highlight an example of a tough question. Think about Sergey's two earlier wishes. Do you think he considers them wasted wishes? And seeing these questions and previewing them ahead of time get you thinking about the story, because you're like, oh, there's a goldfish and the goldfish grants wishes. And remember, we looked at a question before about what would you wish for if you could make three wishes to be when we first started talking about getting ready to read the story. So that's what you need to do, is answer all the questions in the box. That's how you'll get your grade today, by finishing the story and answering all the questions in the box. If you don't finish that, then you will have homework. My remote learners, obviously, you always have homework, but you'll get this done. If you happen to get finished early, you could move on to the check your understanding questions. You have 3 of those. I've already got this in your assignments. And then you've got some analysis questions after that. I would wait to do this lesson until we've discussed the story together. Let me just briefly take you back to our agenda for the week. So today we're going to read. Tomorrow we're going to do the check your understanding and the analyze the text. On Wednesday, we're going to take a test over this story and do your response log. And then Thursday, we're going to go over it and record your data and set some goals. And then on Friday, and I don't have all this in your lessons yet, I didn't want to get too far ahead, you are going to do a Grammar Studio, and I don't know why I can't get this to move up, but you're going to do a Grammar Studio assignment and a level up tutorial. Okay, so that's all you need to know for today. Email me if you have any questions. If you're in class, ask me if you have any questions, and I will see you soon.